You said you're ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning.
See, when I say we're ready, she says, yeah. No editing.
I wasn't ready, but
How come you said yeah, though? Seriously.
I don't know.
I said, are you ready? He said, yeah. So I hit record.
I was going to get something to drink, but it's okay.
Oh.
You can show them my big fat snowman, though. Mm. You guys want to see my big fat snowman? Look how cute he is. He's so adorable. Okay, hold on. That'll give me a chance to get ready. Okay.
What do you mean, chance to get ready?
Just.
You are ready. You said you were.
Okay. I'm ready.
So, guys, we did video 400 yesterday. And I ran out of things to say, so that's it. I don't have anything more to talk about.
You guys, I look like raccoon eyes, okay?
I got nothing more to say.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot to say.
I'm tapped out at 400 videos.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, it's not.
So, today is Monday night for us, I think. Is it? What is today? Monday night, right?
Oh my God, I have lost count.
Yeah, today's Monday night for us. Tuesday morning for you guys. We got a fat snowman over there. We have a fat cat walking around somewhere. And that's life. So, yeah, so we're just here relaxing.
Actually, you've been painting. You've been busy. You've been painting.
That's relaxing.
And then
I've been painting all day.
Yeah.
All day, actually. I just washed my brushes, and it's not that late. It's 9 something now.
Is it?
Or 8 something?
Yeah, it's 9:30 now.
9:30.
And then I actually watched. I slept all day almost, guys, and not slept. I just laid down all day, and I just wanted to be off my feet because I had shortness of breath as of yesterday, and then today. I actually felt better just resting all day. And I actually watched Christmas movies. Every time he'd come into the room, he'd be like, oh, you're watching chick flicks? I'm like, they're not chick flicks, they're Christmas movies.
Who watches Christmas movies? Chick flicks.
So he kept calling them chick flicks, and I'm like, okay, fine.
So on purpose, I came over here and watched Boys in the Hood.
Because he felt like they were chick flicks.
Right? You came here like, what are you watching? I'm like, the boys in the hood are always hard.
So I come in here and I'm like, okay. So I just went back into the room and I just kept watching more Christmas movies.
Cruising down the street in my 6-4.
Yeah. So,
I've been painting all day. I literally watched Boys in the Hood for 10 minutes because I sat down to eat, and then I went back to painting. One
thing I was really, really grateful for, though, guys.
Tell them.
Let me talk, please. I was really grateful because I was getting very overwhelmed and I was getting anxiety because we still have not received our results, I guess San Joaquin is overwhelmed and everything. And
San Joaquin?
The San Joaquin County, yeah. And so I asked David, because the place where we got tested was one of the schools, the drive-through schools where you can actually go get tested, where they have the free COVID testing. And it's literally a school, right, literally a block away from here at a school. And I asked David, and I said, can you please just mask up, get in your car, and go over there, and please ask them, because I have no information, I have nothing, and I need to know how long the process takes, because I was getting just very just anxious, and need to know. And I know you spoke to your daughter, and Angie's a nurse, as you guys know. She's a nurse, and I guess she was working here in Stockton this week or today.
I think this week.
Yeah, and she said that she had one of those the home tests that they do at home. And she says,
well, they gave them to her at the hospital.
Yeah. And
she called them a rapid test.
Yeah, that home rapid test or something. And, I was like, I guess she had an extra one that she can do at least one of them on us. And she came by today and she did do one on me, and that one came out negative. and she was only able to do it on me. And, you know, it kind of brought my anxiety level down. And it felt really good to see that one. So I was like, okay, so that made me feel good. It you know, it's still, you know, I still know that I need to be cautious, because I do know that I was around people that did have, you know, COVID and stuff. So of course, you know, I still know that I need to be cautious and I still need to take precaution. And I figured, okay, well, I'm still going to wait for these other results. And either way, I still need to take care of myself because we're still have regular flu symptoms regardless, you know. So we need to take care of our bodies.
You never finished telling them about going to the school.
Oh,
diverted.
I know I did. I diverted. So David went over there and they told him that it was going to take 5 to 7 days, not 5 days.
Today's day. They said 3 to 5 days.
But you know,
that's why we were expecting something before Sunday service. Mm-hmm. When I went today, they said 5 to 7, and today's day 5.
Yeah, but did they tell you business days? Because I read today, I actually went on there and it said business days.
Yeah, I think that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
And
yeah.
So it's 5 to 7 business days. Yeah. I was actually reading.
So tomorrow's
on their site. So tomorrow's
today for you guys.
Yeah, it would be barely day 5. So Thursday would barely be day 7. So it can be just a little frustrating, guys. And then, you know, I was really kind of reading through and researching on how this thing really works and
what's that?
You know, the whole COVID and when the symptoms can come and how they can, you know. So I was kind of reading through stuff. So, guys, really realistically, it's taking precaution for other people when you're in this whole waiting period is really what it is, you know?
Yeah.
It really is. So, guys, I'm just grateful and thankful that we're getting the rest that we need to get. We're taking the precaution that we need to, and that we're feeling better. Yeah. So, I just want to thank Angie, though, for actually coming over here and for doing that, because what it did do, it kind of did ease that anxiety for a quick moment. And it's not even like fear, but just the fact, you know, of the waiting. People don't like to wait. I think we just get impatient. It's just impatience.
My daughter drove up. She looked like a little nurse.
She's so cute. She's so adorable. But I'm so grateful for her. I'm just, you know, it made me, I don't know, it just changed the whole, you know, I respect her. I've always respected her, but it just changed, you know. It's like you see them always as like, you know, like young adults and stuff like that. And it just made me look at her in a whole different light. Like, okay, that whole level of respect and that whole level of the adolescence is no longer there. Now you see them as like,
well, she came as a professional.
As you see them as these professional adults now. And I'm just like, whoa, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But it's a blessing, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So, babe.
So, I mean, I ran out of things to say. So we're just going to do the 400 all over again. No. You're so dumb. So let's go to the book of Acts. I'm going to go to two.
Weirdo, guys.
I'm going to go to 2 passages or 2 scripture passages. The first one is going to be...
And this is what I've had to be locked up with in the last few days. You know, I feel like I'm in solitary confinement with him. With a big old snowman.
Oh, man, I lost my place. Oh, here it is.
Okay.
The first one is the book of Acts. Well, both passages are going to be in the book of Acts. Chapter 13, verse 13.
13:13?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, let me see. Do I set the stage or not? Yeah, I'll just summarize this real quick, right?
I want to thank also really quick Olga for bringing me eucalyptus.
Give a shout out.
Shout out to Olga. She brought me some eucalyptus and she brought us some stuff and left it at the doorstep today. Thank you. The Nunez family. You guys rock. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Does she think we're koalas?
What did you say? You just made me picture that koala bear.
I'm going to show it right here. That's my favorite picture.
I know. It's a picture of a koala bear. When I first met him, I don't know why he would always send me this meme of this koala bear eating a leaf. And I'm like,
No, I would say this is how I look eating salad.
Yeah, and he always sent me a koala bear with eating a leaf, and I'm like, what is this? He's a weirdo. Yeah, but thank you so much,
She should have ran back then.
Yeah, I should have, but I didn't. But thank you guys. Thank you so much. We love you guys so much. Thank you.
The Apostle Paul, the Lord had called him to preach the gospel to the Gentiles. A Gentile was a non-Jewish person. You got to remember the at that time Israel was an occupation of Rome, but so were a bunch of other nations, which is like modern day Egypt, modern day Libya, modern day Greece, modern day Turkey. All of it belonged to the Roman Empire. So the disciples, they were in Jerusalem preaching to the Jews. But God had called Paul to reach the Gentile, the Romans, the Greeks, all the other nations, right? So Paul became a missionary. He was an evangelist. He held, you could say he was a lot of those things, you know? So he would go on these trips, guys, and you got to think about it. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Clash of the Titans, where they have all these different gods.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So think about it. Each of these nations, they all had their own gods. And you already know people are very fervent about their gods. And here's Paul going and telling them about Jesus. So he had a lot of opposition. A lot of violence was done toward him. Death threats. People hated him. Man, Paul was the guy on the front lines, basically, right? So at one point, he was traveling with John Mark. John Mark is the one that wrote the Gospel of Mark. You know, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So Mark was with him. So anyways, right here in Acts 13, they were about to leave from one city to another. And something interesting happens. It says here in 13:13, now when Paul and his party set sail from Paphos, they came to Perga in Pamphylia. And John, talking about John Mark, departing from them, returned to Jerusalem.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. From Paphos, Paul and company put out to sea, sailing on to Perga in Pamphylia. That's where John called it quits and went back to Jerusalem.
Right there. So you got to remember, man, Paul faced death all the time. So I don't know what he felt some kind of way, where he felt maybe betrayed, or he felt like, dude, seriously, you're going to leave us now? But for whatever reason, Mark said, I'm not going to go forward. I'm going back to Jerusalem.
So that's it. He just called it quits like nothing?
Yeah, he just called it quits. We don't know why. Well, many people insinuate that thank God he left, because now we have the Gospel of Mark. So maybe, this is what we're going to talk about. Is maybe it's possible that the Lord told him to go. We don't know. Let's fast forward a little bit to Acts 15. So Paul, you know what Paul, like the sermon said, I forgot what it was called. Something about you come in or not, I'm going forward, whatever. I don't remember exactly what I called it, but basically Paul's like, okay, you want to go back to Jerusalem? I'm going to keep going forward. I'm going to keep doing what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep preaching Jesus. To basically... With or
without you, I'm going.
Yeah, with or without you, I'm going forward. Mm-hmm. And Paul's like, okay, Mark, fine, cool. I'm going to keep going, though. So anyways, later on, he comes back and he goes for another trip. He's about to. And in Acts 15, verse 36. Check this out. Look what happens.
Check it out.
Okay. It says, then after some days, Paul said to Barnabas. Barnabas became his right-hand man. Barnabas is always with him. He says, let us now go back and visit our brethren in every city where we have preached the word of the Lord, and see how they're doing. So Paul's antsy. He's like, dude, you know what? We got to go back. Let's go to trip again. Let's go visit all those churches that we established. Verse 37, now Barnabas was determined to take with them John, called Mark. See, a lot of people don't know this, but John Mark was the nephew of Barnabas. In verse 38, but Paul insisted that they should not take with them the one who departed from them in Pamphylia and had not gone with them to the work. Look at 39. Then the contention became so sharp that they parted from one another. And so Barnabas took Mark and sailed to Cyprus. But Paul chose Silas and departed, being commended by the brethren to the grace of God. And he went through Syria and Cilicia, strengthening the churches.
Barnabas wanted to take John. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me go back here. After a few days of this, Paul said to Barnabas, let's go back and visit all our friends in each of the towns where we preach the word of God. Let's see how they're doing. Barnabas wanted to take John along, the John nicknamed Mark, but Paul wouldn't have him. He wasn't about to take along a quitter who, as soon as the going got tough, had jumped ship on them in Pamphylia. Tempers flared, and they ended up going their separate ways. Barnabas took Mark and sailed for Cyprus. Paul chose Silas and, offered up by their friends to the grace of the Master, went to Syria and Cilicia to build up muscle and sinew in those congregations.
Whoo-wee. You guys understand, Paul and Barnabas, they were like this, man. They were like this, right? And, for whatever reason, Paul felt like Mark was a quitter. And Paul was like, dude, I almost die on these things. Because he came near death a lot of times. They stoned him to death. He had to sneak out of cities. He would sometimes suffer and not have food. He was shipwrecked. And Paul's like, listen, no, you know what? He abandoned us last time. Forget that. And Barnabas took it personal because that's his nephew.
Yeah. And
they started arguing, man. These guys that were like this, they had this huge argument. And Barnabas was like, you know what? I got to choose family over you. I'm sorry. And they went on to Cyprus. And Paul continued and visited the churches and strengthened the churches. I love this little conflict here, man, because you know why? Because first of all, we're reading a Bible that is about imperfect people following a perfect God. The Bible's never about perfect people. There is no perfect people.
But you see that a lot right now. A lot of conflict all the time, within families, within church families. You see it all the time,
Yeah. Yeah. And so my thing is this, right? If I had never heard of Mark before, if we had never heard of Mark after this, I would say this. I'd say, you know what? Mark was fearful. He was in the wrong. And that's why we never hear of him.
Yeah, he bailed. He jumped ship.
But here's the thing we do hear of him. He wrote a gospel, guys.
Yeah.
So, if he wrote a gospel, then who was he led by?
It was God's plan.
It was God's plan.
Mm-hmm.
Paul doesn't know everything. Paul is not God. Paul is Paul. He's a man. He's just like us. He's human. God is the one that sees the big picture. So for whatever reason, God's like, I got to set Mark aside because you're going to write a gospel for me. Mm-hmm. And so that was very key and very important. Matter of fact, do you know that when you read the Gospel of Mark, because Mark wasn't there with Jesus. Mark was not a disciple of Jesus. Mark got close to a disciple of Jesus. You know who he got close to? He got close to Peter. The stubborn one. The fisherman. The one that probably wasn't very literate. But Mark was literate. And so when you read the Gospel of Mark, in essence, you're reading Peter telling Mark the story of Jesus. Mm-hmm. So there was a reason why Mark went back to Jerusalem.
He was utilized for that purpose.
I think That's why Barnabas understood. Barnabas was like, dude, my nephew didn't abandon us. He went back to Jerusalem for a reason. Maybe that's when he wrote the gospel. But now that he wrote the gospel, maybe Mark is saying, dude, I'm ready. Let's go. And now Paul's like, no, I don't want nothing to do with you. And it caused a great dissension there. They caused two best friends to part ways. Yeah. And
that Barnabas understood.
Yeah, I believe.
He understood. He saw the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people act in the flesh and they don't see.
Yeah. So how is this relevant? Okay. This is how this is relevant. Having pastored 9 years now, I've seen many people come and go. I've seen people go, and I don't want them to come back. I'll be honest with you. I'm just being straight up. But here's the difference, right? In the 9 years I have seen people leave, when I see them excel in the things of the Lord, then I have enough discernment to say, praise God. Praise God. Because just because somebody parts from you doesn't mean they're leaving God. It just means God has a different plan for them. Mm-hmm. So when you see somebody excel that isn't around you anymore, you got to praise God because we're all one body.
Yes, and we rejoice with them.
When I see people leave and they fall off the face of the earth in the things of the Lord, well, obviously there's still time, because if they're still breathing, there's always a chance. God's always He's a God of redemption. Yeah. And I think that, and here's the thing, right? Actually, I got another verse. I'm sorry, I have to complete this. I got to say this, and this is beautiful, right?
Where are we going?
2 Timothy.
2 Timothy.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, give me 1 second here. I think it's right here at the end. I already know that Tony Hart already knows where I'm going with this, and his wife. Okay, chapter 4.
Okay.
Let me set this scenario. You guys know that this is Paul's last letter. He got beheaded after this. I don't know if it was days, months, or years, but this is the last known letter we have. And Paul's in prison. Everybody's abandoned him. Not, when I say everybody, not every person, but a lot of people abandon him. And look what he says in chapter 4, verse 9. Let's start at 6. Because I want you to see his heart as he's in prison writing this. He's talking to Timothy, and he goes, "For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Finally, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to me on that day, and not to me only, but also to all who have loved his appearing." Read 6 through 8, and then we'll keep going.
It says, "You take over. I'm about to die. My life an offering on God's altar. This is the only race worth running. I've run hard right to the finish. Believe all the way. All that's left now is the shouting, God's applause. Depend on it. He's an honest judge. He'll do right not only by me, but by everyone eager for his coming."
Okay. Look at this next part, verse 9. "Be diligent to come to me quickly." He's talking to Timothy. He goes, "For Demas has forsaken me, having loved this present world, and has departed for Thessalonica, Crescens for Galatia, Titus for Dalmatia. He goes, only Luke is with me." He goes, "Get Mark and bring him with me, for he is useful to me for ministry."
Get here as fast as you can. Demas, chasing fads, went off to Thessalonica and left me here. Crescens is in Galatia province, Titus in Dalmatia. Luke is the only one here with me. Bring Mark with you. He'll be my right hand man, since I'm sending Tychicus to Ephesus.
Yeah, right there. Wow. Paul, at the end of all things, look what he says.
Bring Mark with you.
He says, bring Mark. Bring Mark with me. Bring Mark to me. That is beautiful, guys. That Paul matured. He understood. And I think that's a beautiful ending, because if they had not said that, I think they leave a bitter taste. People say, what happened to Mark? You know, and he just like, think about it. He knew he was about to die. He said it. I'm about to die. Bring Mark. You know, and, you know, when I was in, those of you that was in the music industry, I had a rap group called Darkroom Family. And in the beginning, it was a bunch of guys, a bunch of friends. We had some equipment and made a little studio in my parents' garage. And we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know how to run a label. We didn't know how to do anything. We were literally learning everything hands-on. And the moment we went nationwide, one of our biggest artists left. Mr. Key out of San Francisco. And some of the group was upset. I was a little hurt. I was upset because I'm like, man, we've been together. I think I met him when he was like 14 or 15 years old, and now we're adults, and now we finally went nationwide, and he left. What's crazy is that within the world, he went and signed to a label and made his own mark in the genre of rap we were doing, and he did really well. And some of the guys didn't like it. And it's weird because I silently applauded him. Because I saw his posters everywhere. I saw this and that and shows that he was doing, and he made a mark in his own right. I have seen people had left our group also back then. Never heard from him again. So it's two different ways. Sometimes people had their destiny and they excelled. And sometimes people had their own thoughts, their own agenda. And nobody ever heard from those rappers ever again. They never did anything. And we excelled, And so I just think that we have to be discerning, guys. And just because somebody leaves your ministry, it doesn't mean they left God. Time will always tell. Time will always reveal everything, and that's why I say that. I'm like, sometimes people leave, and depending why, you just got to let them leave.
Gotta let them go.
Yeah.
There's always, you always have a lot of people who try to revive and try to save, and sometimes you need to let God do what He needs to do.
Yeah.
I think people try to want to do the saving when it's not them that need to be doing the saving. It's only God that can do the changing and do the saving.
Yeah.
People are always trying to want to be the ones to do it because they want to look like the heroes, or they want to look like the ones that are saving.
Or they think that everybody has to go to their church.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? God is going to bring who He's going to bring, and God is going to send who He's going to send.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it, And but I think this is a beautiful example of
yeah, it is
of two people that, even though they argued, at the end they reconciled.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the same. It goes the same thing for families. It's the same thing. I think a lot of the times we're so quick to have so much conflict within families when we really don't see what God's plans is.
Yeah.
And we always want to be so quick to judge and not see the big picture of what God is doing. Sometimes we just need to step to the side and allow God to do what God needs to do.
Yeah.
And stop trying to dictate somebody's marriage, or stop trying to dictate. A lot of the times we see issues within a marriage and we try to tell, one person, well, you need to leave him, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, and let them take care of their own circumstances and situation. Sometimes be that guide, be there to listen, be a listening ear, be a shoulder. There's only so much we can do, but a lot of the times people can only grow, a marriage can only grow through things, by going through things together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's times though, there's individuals sometimes that I have parted ways. And then I'm just like, and I remember early on, I'm like, man, I feel like calling them. I feel like, you need to come back. I feel this and that. And something would stop me. But then eventually they would cause destruction everywhere they went.
Yeah.
And that's why the Lord, I felt like that's why the Lord said no, and that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, and, but yeah, man, it is what it is. And I don't know if you got something out of this. I just wanted to share that with you guys and
Amen.
Share about Paul and Mark.
Beautiful. I love the way you put everything together, and I think that's a beautiful thing for us to know. And I think you should take notes to be able to bring those scriptures together, because I think that's so beautiful. And then to finish it off with 2 Timothy.
Yeah,
that's powerful.
Guys,
that's powerful, guys.
When you're in prison, there's guys that all they do is think of how to be a better criminal. Obviously, my mind was on something else. My mind was on Jesus. So this is how I would study. This is weird, right? I would read the book of Acts, for instance, and when he said, we went to Philippi, the city of Philippi, I would stop there, go read Philippians, and then come back. And then he goes, and then we went to Galatia. And then I'll go to Galatians and study that for a few days, and then I come back where I left off in Acts. And then, here's another thing I did, is any time it mentioned a city like this, I would go to the back of the Bible and see where it was. And it's weird.
And look wherever it referenced it.
Every single time, to the point where I could close my eyes and I could see the map. I know where Ephesus is on the map. I know where Cappadocia is at in the map. I know where Corinth is at. I know where these places, Antioch and Tarsus and all these places, I know where they're at, because every time from the whole Bible, anytime any region, city is mentioned, I would always go back to the back of the Bible to see where it was.
Yeah.
And but these are things that you learn, and maybe you never thought of that, and you're like, oh man, I'm going to implement that into my study, and so these are just little things, because people say, man, how do you know this stuff? Because I'm insane. No, because
he is insane, guys. I remember one time when he sat down and he started breaking down the different regions, and I'm like, how do you split the maps, the top region from the middle region, and then this and that? And I'm just like, what are you doing? You remember that one time? And I'm like,
oh yeah,
OMG. I'm like, this man.
Oh, and I was telling you about the kingdoms.
Yes.
When Judea and Israel split up.
When Israel and Judea split up, and, and he like broke it down for me, and he literally got a pencil out and he started drawing everything for me. And I'm just like, with my mouth open, and I'm just like, and he's doing this and he's drawing it all out for me and doing and then he started doing the timeline for me, you guys.
Like I did with Sal?
Yes. He started like literally doing the timeline. If you guys ever get a chance to just hang out with us and like literally just come and go to one of these outings with us or hang out with us and everything, like, this is what he does, and if we really have time, he will break it down for you like this. And it's so interesting, guys. I never get tired. I love to sit there and just listen and hear it over and over and over again.
Had you ever heard this like this?
No, not this one. No.
Oh, really?
That's why I love it.
But that was it, guys. I ran out of things to talk about. 401.
Yeah, right.
I'm tapped out.
We're about to go for another 400, guys. Yeah, see, you guys get to go through it all with us. You guys get to see us go through, through getting shot in the eye, you know.
Huh? Shot in the eye?
Whatever, when you got that plastic thing in your eye, remember? And you had a patch?
Wasn't shot.
Well, whatever. What was it?
A piece of plastic that flew into my eye. That's a big difference.
Well, whatever that was. And he had a patch in his eye. You guys get to see us go through everything. Illnesses and tiredness and yawns and...
Fat snowmen
and our cat choking on fur balls, you know. It's crazy. It's like you guys just kind of get to see everything in our life, you know. And
I put the painting up.
Oh.
The meeting.
Yeah.
Watch. Look at this.
It looks nice, huh, guys?
I don't even know. It's 5x4, maybe.
It's huge. It almost takes my whole.
And that painting is the one.
That's the Humble Beginnings painting, guys. Have you taken them close to over there so you can see it?
Nah, I don't want to get up.
Babe. That's so lazy. It's like a few steps from here.
Way over there.
I told him that Humble Beginnings, we were watching a movie. Well, not a movie, like a documentary about Van Gogh, huh?
Last night, yeah.
Yeah, we've been able to watch a lot of stuff lately, guys. But we were watching something about Van Gogh. He has the most... Yeah. Babe, seriously, you think they don't know about Van Gogh?
Maybe they don't. I don't know.
You guys know about Van Gogh, I'm sure you do. But his life amazed me, and it's the most saddest thing, you know, his life. You guys look into his life.
He was going to be a preacher.
Yes, he was going to be a preacher.
He was a third generation.
Yes, his dad was a pastor, guys.
And his grandpa.
And his grandpa. And he was just so, he almost like, it was like he had ADHD, right? It was like OCD or what it was.
He had a lot of mental issues that they didn't know what those were back then.
But he had so much energy and so much so much anxiety and all of that.
What did I say? Is compulsive?
Compulsive disorder, like OCD.
Oh.
Yeah, obsessive compulsive disorder. Yeah. That they did not accept him as, you know, in anything, even in the church. So he decided to be a painter, and you know, he painted for literally 10 years?
10 years, that's it.
And he only sold one painting, guys.
In his life.
In that whole time. And he painted hundreds and hundreds and thousands of paintings.
He left 800 and something paintings, 1,000 and something drawings and sketches. Sold one painting. Do you know one of his paintings now sold for $84 million?
Oh, gosh.
One. He left 800 and something paintings. That's insane.
Oh, gosh.
You guys better buy my stuff now. Don't be buying it after I die. Not for sale.
I told David that painting, because, you know, we were looking at it. We were just sitting here in the living room. We were just staring at it. And he's like, well, I was like, should we touch it up? Should we do something to it? And he's like, yeah, maybe. And I said, you know what? No. Leave it alone. I'm going to call it, we had no name for it. And I said, that's the Humble Beginnings. That's the name of the painting now. I named it. I finally named it. It's called the Humble Beginnings, because that painting, for those of you guys that don't have social media and you guys don't know the story, don't have Facebook, that kind of social media, I actually put the story up, and I put down that I know that when you got out of prison, you actually painted that and you entered into a contest, right?
And I painted it specifically for an art contest. Mm-hmm. It was $20 to enter.
It was $20, entered,
and then everybody
filled out
the
the
winner
application.
Got a huge pot at the end.
Yeah, entered, filled out the application, $20 to submit the application, filled it out, submitted it with $20, and they actually called him, and they gave him back his application, and they gave him back his $20 and told him to come pick up his painting. And they didn't even make the entering. It didn't even make it, guys.
Bunch of jerks.
No, how does my mom say it? My mom says jerks. with a JURK.
Guys, I was so discouraged. I never touched my brushes for a year.
Yeah,
I said, no, I'm done.
Yeah, he didn't pick it up for a while. So
a year, exactly a year.
When I came into the picture, guys, I remember seeing this throne. It was kind of thrown
in my RV bathroom.
In his RV bathroom, which he used as a storage, because he didn't have running water or anything in his RV. He was pastoring and he didn't have no running water, and it was real dusty inside this little broken down bathroom. And I would just look at it, and I loved it, and it was all dusty. And in the back of my mind and in my heart, I was like, oh my God, I love that painting. Oh my God, I love that painting. And I would say that in my heart. And did you just say no?
Yeah, I got my $20 back.
Anyways, I would say that in my heart. And I'm like, I hope he doesn't throw that away. I hope, he doesn't want that. I hope I get to keep that. And that's what was going in the back of my mind. And then one day when we were cleaning out his RV and we were finally getting everything ready, for him to, when we got married, he still stayed at the RV after we got married for a while. And it took him a while to move in, where I was.
I was working in San Francisco.
Yeah, because you were still working. I remember that I was like, I hope I'm able to take this with me. And I just told him I want that. And he's like, whatever,
Yeah, that's the $20 painting. Huh?
He didn't care. He's like, whatever. I said, I don't want it. I don't care, But I was so happy and so excited. And I think he felt really like I told him, I'm going to hang this in my living room. I was excited. And he's like, you're going to hang that here? And I was like, yeah, heck yeah. This is going in my living room. And I think, I don't know, how did you feel when I told you that I really wanted that up?
I thought you were just being nice.
You serious?
Yeah, let me show them again.
You guys, I love this painting.
Oh, man. That one right there.
You guys, I love it. It's like one of my favorite paintings.
Well, it wasn't the his favorite, I'll tell you that.
Oh my God. You guys, I love that painting. And I call it now, after I found out, it took me a while for me to find out the story, but I call that the humble beginnings. And I put it next to this one because I want him to sit on his recliner at times, and I want him just to look at it and to be able to see how far the Lord has brought him. And to see.
But I did get encouraged yesterday when I watched Van Gogh, because in 10 years he sold one painting. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And for it to be in the top 10 most expensive paintings in the world, out of the 10 most expensive paintings in the world, 3 or 4 are his.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. And then I guess there was a quote that he said that he goes, all I want is for my paintings to be in a little coffee shop.
Well, but do you remember when he actually said something about for his art to be seen by those who were not born yet, or something like that? Oh my God, that quote left me. Yeah. He said something as to...
Because nobody wanted his paintings, because everybody had painted royalty and palaces and this, and he would paint regular people, poor people, like a little... He painted a family.
God, what is that quote?
He painted a family eating potatoes because that's all they could afford. He would get people working in the field. So like in the galleries, they're like, "What are you doing?" Like nobody wants to buy a painting of somebody working in a field. Nobody wants to buy a painting. And I think the quote was something about maybe my paintings are for those that aren't yet born. Something like that.
I don't know. I need to find it though because it's driving me crazy.
It's going to take a long time to find it. Yeah, but guys, it was just interesting. It was encouraging. It was rough, His most painters, famous painters that you read about, they painted all their life. And Van Gogh never picked up a brush until he was 27. And he painted for 10 years. and died at 37. You know, and in those 10 years has made pieces that pretty much everybody knows or has seen his artwork before, and that's insane to me.
I don't know. Oh no, I can't find it. But anyways, it just talks about how if somebody can't appreciate his paintings then those in the future will be the ones that will benefit of his
That's what he
of
said.
his art.
He goes, maybe my art is meant for those that aren't born yet.
And that just blew me away, because his art didn't come to be known and famous until after his death.
Yeah.
And that was just amazing. And it is those in the future that were until after that really now are really truly enjoying his...
We both together have learned a lot about art.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and say I knew all this stuff. We're just maybe a day before I learned a little bit more about Picasso, and then I shared it with her. But I'm learning, and so we're starting. It's weird because we'll have conversations and talk about Van Gogh and Vermeer and Frida and Diego Rivera. Who else?
Because
there's a lot of them. You know?
I'm artistic in a whole different type of way, guys. I love art because I love to do woodwork. I love to distress, and I love to decorate, and I love to do art in my food. As you guys know, I love to cook, and I love to bake, and I love to do all of that. And
Rembrandt.
Yeah, I love to do a lot of that type of artistry, and I'm very, very big on all of that kind of stuff. So for me, when I do interior designing or I do any type of stuff like that, I'm very, very big on that. So I can really, really appreciate that type of artistry. And when he shares all of that, combining it all together, it broadens my brain, and it broadens my mind so much. And it just intrigues me so much because of colors and because of texture. And I have been really, really big on architecture and stuff like that. So when I go out and I do photography, and whenever I do any of that type of stuff, I love taking photography of sheds and all kinds of architecture and that kind of stuff. So it helps me with my photography, which in then turn, I'm able to do stuff that helps him, so that it kind of gives him a platform for his painting as well. So it's teamwork.
Little interesting fact that I just learned. I always wondered why Picasso paintings were just gibberish. It was like all this weird, and I'm just like, that never really attracted me. Still doesn't, honestly, still doesn't. But I couldn't figure out why people said that he was, he's Picasso. I had no idea that he painted at 12 years old stuff that 30, 40, 50-year-olds couldn't paint. So he had mastered painting. And the reason he started painting all crazy, it's not because he didn't know how to paint properly, a landscape or people or whatever. It's that got boring to him.
Yeah.
And then the camera came into existence. And when he saw that the camera could take an exact picture of something, he said, what do they need painters for now? That is why he started painting crazy stuff. Because,
a lot of abstract stuff.
Yeah, because he felt, you know what? There's no reason now for us to paint a reproduction of something when you can take a photograph of it. And he goes, I got to change. He's like...
started thinking out of the box.
He changed the game.
Yeah.
That's why Picasso was so exalted, because he completely changed the game and said, well, since cameras exist, I can paint what's in my heart and what's in my mind, which is kind of just that weird stuff. I don't like that stuff in that stage, honestly, but I respect it.
Yeah, his mind
and
his thinking of why he did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because honestly, when I heard that, it frees me now, because I'm just like, have you noticed? Like, for instance, this painting, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put a tree there. And I told you, can I put a tree here?
My original didn't have a tree. Didn't have any of that.
Because I'm just like, why do I have to copy? Why am I confined to this photograph?
Mm-hmm.
When
I didn't have a cow.
Yeah, like as Bob Ross would say, this is my world. Like, why does it have to be exactly like that? If you want an exact thing, then take a picture of it.
Yeah,
you know. So,
absolutely.
anyways, guys, I know you're probably getting bored with all this art stuff, but God bless you. We just missed you guys.
I know, guys.
And this is, video 401. I got nothing else to say. So, all right, guys. God bless you, and we will see you tomorrow.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.